That's no good. It was a weekday afternoon. I came home for the first time in a while, and I found my neat and tidy wife having an affair with her husband. I had hit rock bottom, but I knew I couldn't continue like this for my daughter's sake, so I stood up and gave them a proper punishment. My name is Hishi, 35 years old. I live with my wife Noriko, 30, and our daughter Mika, 2. I work for a small and medium-sized company, and my annual income is decent. Once you get there, you're just an ordinary office worker. I met Riko in the spring 5 years ago. It was when I was transferred to a different department at work. Nice to meet you. I'm Tanaka, a general affairs specialist. I look forward to working with you from today onwards. As I bowed my head, Riko appeared from the seat next to me, holding some documents. She had a beautiful face and a modest yet elegant face. I was impressed by her calligraphy as she carefully adjusted the collar of her white blouse. I remember thinking to myself that she must be a serious person. At first, we only had a casual relationship, but after a few conversations at drinking parties in the car, we gradually became closer. Surprisingly, you like sweet things. Yes, I can't resist cheesecake. Oh, but I'm on a diet now. Oh, well, I'll have a little. Oh, well, I didn't mean it like that. Sorry. No, it would be much appreciated if you'd eat with me. I couldn't help but smile when I saw her eyes sparkling at the sweets I'd casually bought from the convenience store. From then on, I found myself staring at her, and it didn't take long for us to start dating. Riko told me that she was the first person I'd ever met who could talk to me so naturally, and I was also strongly attracted to her sincerity and honesty. We decided to get married a year after we started dating. As we were both about to turn 30, we thought seriously about our future. I'll make you happy. Absolutely. I still remember the day I made that promise so clearly. Our married life was going smoothly, and both Riko and I continued to work without changing our jobs. Sometimes we fought, but those days are good memories. And on the day we found out that Riko was pregnant, we cried and hugged each other in joy. We made a big fuss about what gender it was, what we had to buy, and couldn't sleep all night thinking about names. And the moment our daughter Mika was born, Riko said thank you. I'm really happy. That smile was certainly genuine. However, raising a child was harder than I had imagined. Worried about Mika's birth, Riko quit her job and became a full-time housewife, devoting herself to housework and childcare. At first, she was filled with the joy of being a mother. Even though she was sleep-deprived, she didn't complain, and she calmly faced the midnight feedings. I tried to help as much as I could. On weekends, I changed her diapers, gave her a bath, went shopping, and on weekdays, I reduced my overtime and went home earlier. However, Kakuko just took away more and more of our time. As time went by, our evenings became centered around our children, and our conversations turned to childcare and housework. Due to changes in my physical condition and lack of mental space, I didn't have time to think about having sex with my wife. However, I sometimes tried to invite her on a trip, following my manly instincts. However, her response was cold, "I'm not in the mood anymore." She would say, "I'm sorry," and turn her back to me. And gradually, I couldn't say anything. It can't be helped now. I believed that it would come back when Mika grew a little bigger. But even if we didn't have sex at night, I thought our relationship was good, and I believed that Mika would grow into an obedient and cute girl and realize that she was a good family. One day, while we were living like that, Riko said she was going to join our class reunion. Both she and I sometimes went out at night only because we had drinking parties and gatherings. So I sent her off with a heart as usual. Then, on the way back from the class reunion, Riko came home at the end of her shift, which was unusual. It was so much fun meeting my old friends after a long time. I was surprised to see that the boys who used to be dull have become lively. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. I'm saying we should get together again soon with our close group, so please come then.
Understood. You must have had a lot of fun. She continued to be in a good mood for a few days after that. However, I began to feel something was off about her good mood. At first, I felt that her makeup was a little darker. When she went out, she would make the area around her eyes sparkle, and she started to wear lipstick properly, which she didn't usually wear. She seems to be putting on a lot of makeup today. It's nothing like that. But everyone is dressed up and beautiful, so I thought I should do it properly too. She also started wearing skirts and heels, and I started to think that she was putting on too much effort for a girl's party. I've met some of her friends at weddings, but I'm sure there weren't any who looked that flashy. But I was curious to see such a big change. She started to wear more careful makeup. She started to wear lipstick even when going out, which she used to do without makeup. Her clothes have also changed from casual to a more feminine style. She's been getting more and more fashionable lately. Oh, right. Well, it's just a change of pace. Rico answered without looking me in the eye. But that wasn't the only change she had. She said she often came over to her parents' house, and would drop by when she was out or during the day on weekdays when I was at work. Her parents' house is pretty close, but before she attended the reunion, she would only go there once a month, but that number increased dramatically. The reunion Rico attended was from her middle school days. Maybe it was someone she met again at that time, and my suspicions about her grew more and more. The vagueness of the time and destination when she went out. She always had her smartphone with her even at home, and when she put it down somewhere, she turned it down. Maybe she was meeting someone? It didn't take long for me to come to this conclusion. Rico's recent changes clearly seemed like the behavior of someone who was cheating. However, there was too little evidence to be suspicious. If I questioned her and nothing came of it, it would leave an irreparable damage on our marriage, and more than anything, I wanted to believe her. Also, when I saw the two girls having fun with Mika, I couldn't believe that she was betraying her family. There's no way she would cheat on me. By believing that, I was able to maintain my peace of mind. However, it was a cruel reality. One Friday afternoon, I forgot to bring some documents to the office to submit to a client, and had to go back home to get them. I was in such a hurry that I forgot to contact Rico and hurriedly opened the door to my house. What a shame for me. When I entered the front door, I saw Rico's sandals and an unfamiliar pair of men's sneakers. Is someone there? I instantly had a premonition and broke out into a cold sweat. I tried to calm myself down and called out to the house. Is Rico there? Then, I heard a shocking voice that drowned out my voice. Yes, that's not good. Ah.
Rico's deafening, arrogant voice reverberated from behind the bedroom door. My mind went blank, and I just stood there. You're kidding me? What's going on? I asked myself in my mind, trying to stay calm. Was that Hariko's voice just now? It was clearly Hariko's voice. No, calm down. Think calmly. As if drowning out the monologue in my mind, I heard Riko's terrifying voice again. Deeper. She really does feel differently from me there. I can't take it anymore. It's embarrassing. I can.
Hear Rico's rumbling, horny voice and a man's low, familiar tone of voice. Kya, Ketaro is amazing. My spine froze. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Sweat was running down my whole body. Just one door away, my wife, whom I trusted, was smiling as she gave her body to another man. Moreover, they were moaning so happily, and even though they hadn't had sex for years, their voices were getting louder and louder, and I couldn't help but vomit. Unable to contain the rising nausea, I ran out the front door and stuck my face in the garden. Tears spilled out of my mouth as I vomited everything in my stomach. You're kidding me, why? Naderiko was so shocked and sad that her chest felt like it was about to collapse. I felt something important inside my body crumbling with a sound. I couldn't stay sitting still any longer, so I left the place as if I was running away. I don't remember much after that. I missed an important consultation, but my boss managed to cover it up and I was able to cry. When I explained the situation, my boss was very present and said he would cover it up somehow, so I gave him a break. It would be even more painful, but you should definitely gather evidence properly. That's why he also advised me not to let his wife know that he found out about her affair. However, at this point, my head was already foggy and I couldn't think straight. Since that day, I couldn't taste anything I ate. I couldn't even swallow water. I asked for an extended day off from work, lied to both of my children that I wasn't feeling well, and stayed alone in Mika's room. I didn't want to go in when the spirits were sleeping, so I made up a good excuse that I didn't want to infect them. In my head, I knew I couldn't go on like this. I knew I had to think about the future, but my heart was broken and it was no good. Rico's moans kept coming back to my mind. My wife called out the name of another man in that exhausted voice. She had an expression of drowning in pleasure that I'd never felt before. I couldn't do it anymore. What did I do wrong? What was missing? I kept asking myself questions that I couldn't find an answer to. Every time I did that, my chest tightened and tears welled up. My daughter Mika's smile was the only salvation. Dad, I'm hungry. I woke up to a faint voice and stood in the kitchen with a hazy consciousness. I heated up the leftovers in the fridge and put them on the table. It seems that Rico has gone out somewhere. Dad. Looking at Mika's innocent smile, I felt my energy gradually rise, knowing that things couldn't continue like this. Anyway, I have to do something first. Even though I still have a wounded heart, as a father and husband, I still have to cut out the household chores of my life. I first checked the history of my phone. All the call history and messages on Rico's phone had been deleted recently. I also checked the sync folders for SNS and cloud photos. There was no record of the day Rico said she had gone to her parents' house. GPS is also off. Is she that thorough? That's tough. The idea of going out into the shadows once more came to mind. I had no idea about the man named Ketaro whom I met at the reunion. However, the obvious change in her since that day, and the fact that she had more and more openings at home, all connected. That night, when Rico came out of the bath, I asked her. Hey, Rico, I've been thinking something's wrong lately. Can you tell me the truth? Rico flinched for a moment. Her eyes shook a little. What are you talking about? What happened all of a sudden? Oh, how are you feeling? Feeling a little better? I smiled as I said this, but my eyes were clearly not smiling. I had a faint hope that we could start over depending on her reaction, but that thought disappeared in an instant. because I felt that Rico was not going to tell me the truth and was just trying to cover it up. So I didn't say anything more and acted as if nothing had happened on the surface. But in my heart, a determination was beginning to grow. I'll get evidence. I can't let it end like this. There's no way I can pretend I didn't know anything. And that determination gradually turned into resolve, and I decided to make a plan to get revenge on them. First, I asked a detective agency to investigate Rico's infidelity. I told the person in charge about what happened the other day, and also told them that I wanted them to thoroughly investigate Ketaro's information. While waiting for the results of the investigation, I consulted with my boss about the future, and asked about a department with no overtime or a work style in order to get a serious relationship. I don't know what will happen in the future, but I have no intention of giving up on Mika's seriousness, so I started preparing to do everything I could. It would cost money, but I hired a lawyer, and we prepared for divorce and also prepared to get seriousness together. Then, about 2 weeks later, the results of Rico's infidelity investigation came. I hadn't seen Ketaro's face at the time, but it was strange that when I saw the two of them in the photos, Rico looked like a different woman. The Rico I knew was no longer there. There was evidence of them getting into the car together, kissing, and going into a love hotel. There was even evidence of constant behavior in the car, and it was getting interesting at this point. I calmly thought that they were a lovey-dovey couple who only had brains for what they were doing, like a high school couple. And I was able to obtain important information about Kentaro. Ketaro is married with a wife and children. He works as a sales representative for a local construction company. The affair has been going on for more than 3 months. They have sex 23 times a week. The main location on the 3 days was in the car at Hishi's house, a love hotel. He is known by those around him as a good father with no small worries. You ruin someone else's family, but you care about your own? Don't be ridiculous. With this evidence, I made further preparations. Then I invited Rico's parents and my parents to my house. I want to make it a surprise for Rico, so please keep it a secret. I also didn't forget to tell her that I'm sure everyone will be surprised. And the revenge plan was already in full swing. On the day that Rico said she was going to her parents' house as usual and left, I confirmed that Ketaro's car had stopped in front of Hishi's house, and I began to act. I had my parents and parents-in-law kill time at a nearby coffee shop. Well, shall we go now? Rico is inside the house. Hiroshi, what kind of surprise is this? I'm sure she'll be very surprised. Her mother, who doesn't know anything about it, seems to think that I'm preparing some kind of present for Rico, and I felt bad for her excitement next to me. When I arrived home and quietly opened the door, I thought it was closed, but it was unlocked. How much of a hurry do you want to do this? While making this remark, I gave everyone a signal to be quiet and let everyone into the house quietly. Then I headed straight for the bedroom and opened the door with force. Ah, Hirashi. Why? Dad? Dad? In front of me, Noriko and Ketaro were naked and looking at us with surprised faces. The two of them hurriedly pulled the futon up, but in this situation, no excuses would be possible. Rico was pale and naked, hugging her suit and trembling. I already know everything about your relationship. Ketaro, right? Because I know your home and your workplace. That's a lie. Ketaro said in a faint voice, writing the date and checking Rico's face alternately. He must be terrified of what will happen next. It's over. You guys are the worst. Hiroshi, aren't you? Shut up, a shout rang out. My usually gentle stepfather turned red in the face and yelled. Are you still my mother? What are you doing bringing a man into your house in the middle of the day like this? Explain to me clearly what this is all about. The stepmother broke down in tears and told Rico in a voice that sounded like Hishi's mother. Rico, do you know what you're doing? You're not. This is a misunderstanding. No, 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 no. Rico, there's no way this can be resolved with 5 solutions. You're crazy. And this man needs a priest too, right? You've destroyed 2 families. What you're doing is quite sinful. I'm
Sorry. Did you leave it to me? Did you get a little carried away because you were feeling good? You're too carried away. But that's enough. You and I are finished. I'll demand compensation. I'll never give you Mika's sword. Ketaro, I'll tell everything to your family and your company. Be prepared. Wait a moment. I'm sorry that I became involved in an affair with your wife. But we weren't serious with each other, it was just a physical relationship, or rather, we weren't serious, and we had no intention of destroying each other's families. It's true. Please believe me. No, you said I could forgive you because it was just a physical relationship, and I said, yes, I understand. What are you saying? It's impossible. I'll make you take full responsibility for what you've done. But Hiroshi, aren't we really serious? The only person I really love is Hiroshi. It's true. I wanted to stay together with Hishi and Mika forever. If anything, it might be a good idea to have another child. You're really crazy. I was going to cry out to you for saying something like that here, but I'm going to puke just from what you said now. I heard you once. Something happened recently. But you lied. If it was really just a physical relationship and you were just trying to play around, you could have been honest with me then, right? Then maybe there would have been a way to rebuild. It's not too late now, right? Please, give me a chance. Please. I ask you to. We have certainly committed a crime. But please give us a chance. The 2 of them were still kneeling on the bed as if they had forgotten that they were naked. They seemed to genuinely believe that kneeling would make things better. Looking around, both Rico's parents and my parents were looking down at the 2 of them with terrible looks on their faces. I couldn't stand being there anymore, so I decided to teach them the reality one last time. No, no matter how much they apologize or kneel, it's impossible. And haven't you forgotten that you were naked? Looking at it objectively, it's pretty bad. Well, I don't care anymore. Well, you too, prepare yourself for what's to come. I said that and headed towards the entrance. I didn't want to be in the same space anymore. My parents followed me out of the house. Behind me, Hariko's parents were hurling abuse at the 2 of them. I'm glad your parents are decent people. Dad said that and slapped me hard on the shoulder. It was hard. It'll be okay. It was as if they were telling me that we were here, and I couldn't help but cry into my father's arms. I never thought I would cry in front of my parents, so I was surprised, embarrassed, and all sorts of emotions welled up inside me, but it's okay. Come back home with me, Mika-chan. Mom said this while hugging me, so I was able to honestly say yes, thank you. And maybe it was good that I cried in front of them. After that, my heart felt much lighter, and that night I was able to eat a proper meal for the first time in a long time. Maybe she was happy to be at my parents' house after a long time, because she was smiling happily the whole time, and I decided to protect that smile for the rest of my life. Then, a few days later, a certified letter arrived at Kentaro's house. His wife was informed of the truth, and the family completely fell apart. Kentaro's wife immediately took the children and returned to her parents' house, and they separated on the premise of divorce. Don't mess with me. You even contacted my company. Kentaro contacted me. I was full of resentment, but he was persistent, so I had no choice but to meet him at a coffee shop. What are you unhappy with? You brought it on yourself, right? Are you satisfied with this? There's no way I'm going to live here. Do you know how much I've been trampled on by you and my wife? I loved Rico. My family was important to me. I have a daughter. How can I explain that her mother went out to meet someone else in the middle of the day? Kentaro was at a loss for words and hung his head. Don't contact me again. Pay me all the money. That's all. I stood up and turned my back. I left the place, saying that I wanted my family back. Did he hear my last words? Kentaro never contacted me individually after that. And the climax of the divorce was a dollar swamp. Rico asked for reduction in the amount of alimony and argued seriously, but the detective's records and testimony in court were the deciding factor. With inconclusive evidence that even the top committee member of the family court was astonished, almost all of my requests were ultimately granted. Rico, it's no use saying anything now. You destroyed my family with your own hands. Tobiko was stunned by the lawyer's gentle words. I won the case, and Rico was ordered to pay 3 million yen in compensation. Why did
this happen? Rico muttered in court, but no one tried to answer her. Even after the divorce was finalized, I couldn't stand Hariko's contact for a while. I begged Mika to join me. Are you acting like a mother now? Do you think you have the right to call yourself a mother? No. Have you broken up with Kentaro yet? It was all wrong.
you want to go back? Don't.
Be ridiculous. You destroyed it. It's over now. I blocked him online and by phone. There was no room for a relationship in my heart. After a while, I heard rumors about what happened to Rico and Kentaro. The two of them had become quite famous in their hometown. They were moved by their parents and distanced by their friends, so they left the town they were used to living in and moved to a distant provincial city. Apparently they're working at a cabaret club. It was a story about a poet I'd overheard by chance, who'd become a guarantor for Kentaro's debts and was even juggling night jobs. I didn't really respond. I just gently stroked the head of my daughter Mika, who was smiling in front of me. Daddy, you worked hard today, didn't you? Yeah, it's all thanks to Mika. Quote, a small hand stroked the Hishi book. Those hands were the greatest salvation for him right now. I'll never lose him again. I made a strong promise to myself.